up to this kind of power, this kind of challenge, this kind of flying, crashing feeling. When you decide to get serious, there's only one place to come. The games of Super Nintendo. No one else creates this kind of experience, because no one else creates these kinds of games. Now you're playing with power, superpower.
Oh, welcome back to the channel, pal. Haha, gotcha. You guys clicked on this video because we're looking at the greatest console of all time, in my opinion. And I'll tell you why later in this video, but we're taking a look at the Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo. All right, what's this video for? Well, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a history with the Super Nintendo. I'm going to be purely reading off the Wikipedia page, not direct quotes, but I'm just going to take some data from it. If it's worth it picking it up in 2024, some of the best games on the console, and this is just like bestsellers, things that I know, because we'll get into a little bit later, my history with this console, and how much you can pick it up for now. What's a good price for it? The console was first released in Japan as the Super Famicom, the follow-up to the Famicom system that was out in Japan. The Super Famicom released in 1990, and then it came out in North America in 1991. I wasn't even born yet. And both the American versions and the Japanese versions have predecessors. They're the NES or the Famicom. In Japan, the NES is here in America. NES is the Nintendo Entertainment System. That system itself brought back gaming in general. There was a huge crash just before the NES. Super Mario and Nintendo saved the gaming industry as we know it today. Interesting fact, this thing was sold in South Korea as the Super Comboy. What's the difference between the NES and this? Graphics. We go from 8-bit on the NES, and you can see with a lot of the gameplay that the NES is a lot older, and this has 16-bit graphics and 16-bit sound, so it's better sounding console. At the time, here are some of the consoles that were out. You have the Sega Genesis.
Genesis does
16-bit arcade graphics.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does
16-bit sports action.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis does.
Get Joe Montana free, Pat Riley free, Buster Douglas free, Super Monaco GP free, or Collins free.
Genesis does.
What Nintendo?
Buy a 16-bit Genesis system between now and October 31st and get an extra game.
The TurboGrafx 16 and the Neo Geo. Now, they're in no particular order. The Genesis was the biggest threat to the Super Nintendo, especially since it had a 2-year head start. We'll get into that in a little bit. Now, overall sales of the Super Nintendo, it crossed 49.1 million units. And I didn't realize this. It wasn't discontinued until 2003. So they were still making this console for like over 10 years. And like I said, the Genesis came out 2 years before the Super Nintendo, and it still passed the Genesis in sales. There's going to be a Genesis video coming out as well. These are consoles I bought at Portland Retro Gaming Expo about a month ago now. So I'm slowly just putting these videos out. Okay, my history with this console is zero. I never had a Super Nintendo growing up. I was actually a Genesis kid, so I had the more violent console. Not really. The Genesis was just, I had a little bit more edge to it. Like a prime example is Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat on the Super Nintendo, there was no blood, there was no gore. On the Genesis, there was blood. I don't know if fatalities are in both. I'm pretty sure they are. They're just way different in the SNES. My first Nintendo console wasn't until the Nintendo 64. I was born in 1992, and I remember the 64 and James Bond. That's another one I'm going to make some of these videos on later on. That leads me perfectly into why I think this is the greatest console of all time. I never played this, okay? I didn't, the Sega Genesis, we didn't have very many games. We had like Lion King, Aladdin. Those are pretty much the ones I remember. Oh, we had Sonic games, of course, but who plays those? No. I'm just kidding. But what makes me think this is the best console is I never played it growing up, and I still like I get a nostalgic feel for it. So it was everywhere. I saw it everywhere. I heard about it everywhere, and the replayability of all the games on this console and this generation in general in 16-bit, it's untouched in the replayability on these video games. Nothing like it. You can replay these games over and over and still have tons of fun. That's kind of the point of these games. You turn them on, you play them for maybe a couple hours, maybe less, depending on if it's multiplayer or not. And then you move on. And it had some of the greatest games of all time. Huge variety. I know the Super Nintendo more for RPGs, just because I think some of the biggest ones in history, besides maybe Final Fantasy VII, were released on the Super Nintendo. Now, let's go into some of the best games. My history, like I said, is limited with this console, so I'm pulling a lot of these from Wikipedia and just kind of like what I know are very popular and I've heard of. Yoshi's Island, which is a Super Mario game. Fantastic game. I've actually played it. I don't own it. That's one I want to pick up. I can find it pretty easy, so I've been kind of holding off and picking up different kinds of games. There's Chrono Trigger, which is one of my favorite RPGs of all time. I didn't play it on the Super Nintendo. I actually played it on my Steam Deck is what I've played it on. I haven't beaten it yet. I beat it somehow another way. I'm pretty sure I did the no and I emulated it. I don't do that anymore. Not because I don't think it's wrong or anything like that. You do you. All right, you do you. I just like physically owning these games. I don't know what it is. Physically owning media and all that kind of stuff is just so much better for my brain, I guess. There's Earthbound. Now, I got to play that through the Nintendo Online. Fantastic game. Graphics look amazing. It's another RPG style game. Really fun. Both Chrono Trigger and Earthbound are very expensive on the Super Nintendo. So if you want to play them, I suggest going and picking them up on Steam or on some other avenue of playing them legally. Let me put this in perspective for you. Earthbound is loose for $334, CIB for $1,600. That's crazy. Chrono Trigger is $187 loose. Now that came out on the DS, and you can play that. Picking it up looks like it's about $70. So there's a little cheaper way if you have a DS. Maybe that's how I played it. I used to have a DS. I don't remember. All right, then there was also great fighting games like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all those. Killer Instinct as well, which I picked up. I'm going to show you guys which games I own on there. Currently, I just started collecting games for that generation. Comment down below, what's your favorite game on that console? I don't have one yet. And while you're down there, make sure to hit the sub and the like button. I promise it helps. I promise, okay? It really does. It's also that way you know when the next video is coming out, which is a Genesis video. The same style. I'm going to go through the history of these consoles, mine, overall history, stuff like that. So if you're liking that kind of stuff, make sure you're subscribed so you know when videos are coming out. You got to hit the little bell too. That way you get an email. Now, is the Super Nintendo worth it? Yes, 100%. I think it's worth it in 2024. You can find these for around 90 to 100 bucks. Usually, depends how clean they are. Mine was filthy. It was disgusting. I'll overlay a video of me cleaning it. But it's still pretty scratched up. The top shell is a good color. It's not that got that yellowing, but the bottom does have the yellowing. You could fix all that, but this thing is dirty, man. And I've cleaned it. I cleaned it pretty well. You should have seen it beforehand. But it works. You know what? And it was $90, so it's a little on the lower end because usually 100, 110, depending on where you're buying it from. You can always find things cheaper, okay? And I get that. Comment section, okay? I get it. I could go on Facebook Marketplace, pick it up for $50, okay? But I don't want to take the time. I found this at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, all right? If you enjoy the Switch, any of that stuff right now, and you want to play it on the original hardware, it's worth picking up, man. It's a lot of fun. It's not just 2-player. You can get these multi-tap is what it's called. I think you can, at least. I'm not an expert in this stuff, all right, you guys. I really enjoy going out and hunting for the Super Nintendo games. They have some of the best art. Let me grab the games that I currently have. Right now, I don't have anything super crazy or like, whoa, that's insane that you got that. I just got some generic titles, some ones that I think would have been fun, and they are. I've tested all these, played them. Lots of fun. Maybe I'll throw in some gameplay. I think I can record it. I haven't tried it yet, so let's find out. I just picked this up today. That's, oh, come on, focus. It's Killer Instinct. Focus on Killer Instinct. Dang, it won't. There we go. I got it for a second. But yeah, got Killer Instinct in pretty good, really good condition. There's a little bit of wear in the corner, but I'm okay with that. I think a little bit of wear is good because sometimes when one looks like this next one, it scares me a little bit. I picked up Scooby-Doo Mystery. This game's fun. It's made by Acclaim, but this thing is spotless. And what worries, this is what makes me think I think it's a fake. But it works. I think it's a fake because if you look at the back, it's like imprinted on the plastic, and the rest are not. I gotta open this up. These are stickers. I gotta be able to start telling the difference. I only paid $10 and it works, so I'm not overly upset. But if I ever tried to trade this in or sell it, it might be kind of hard. This looks so clean. Like I don't know if it'll focus, but it has not a blemish on it, man. So yeah, my plan is to buy everything loose for cartridges, and I'm gonna buy all my games from Anybox Gaming. And why do I buy them loose? Because these games are insanely expensive when you add the box in there. Someone picked this up in Goodwill in 2019. They paid $6 for this. I paid $20. It's Mickey Mania. There's like Mickey Mania, The Timeless Adventures of Mickey Mouse. Fun game. I've liked it. It's pretty cool. And then we got Wajja Wabbit. We got Bugs Bunny Rabbit Rampage. These are all like platformer type games. Those are my Genesis games. I realized I thought I had a few more, but no, I got 4. I don't even have like any of the Mario ones or anything yet. Like I said, I've been waiting for those because they're not super duper expensive. They are usually $20 to $30 depending on which one you want, but they're also just not hard to find. They're everywhere. So yeah, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the like button and come back for the next one. I'll catch you guys later. I gotta do my thing. Which is good.